Thank you so much, Stephen. How many of you have given a presentation before? Pretty much everyone. How many of you have said, hey, this presentation's a little dry, a little drab, it could be better? Right. So, a few years ago, I was listening to a talk that almost put me to sleep. I spent my whole career in business presentations, and I'm pretty critical of people, but when a presentation makes me want to leave the room and fall asleep, I say there's really something wrong with this. And ultimately, I continued to listen a little bit more carefully and talk with a bunch of other people, and I kept using the term, when I was evaluating people, I kept using the term, I'd like to hear your talk be a little bit more dimensional. I'd like a little bit more than just facts. I'd like it to be like a hub on a steering wheel or on a car wheel that has more spokes coming out. And I came up with this vision, this model, and this is what we're going to talk about, dimensional presentations. So that all of you here, including myself, can go around giving business presentations, training presentations, investor decks, everything that we need to do to make presentations more impactful and greater connections with your audience. So here you are, and you've got a speech, a presentation, a message, whatever it is that you need to give to your audience way out there, right? So most people will say, I'm just going to give some facts and information because that's what I've got to give in my presentation, facts and information. And around this whole hub, we're going to fill it in with some additional data and information. By the way, my timer's not going. So we're about a minute and a half.
Right? I trust you, Kevin. It's
okay,
good.
We'll be okay. So we want to, at least if you're giving facts and information, you want to inject it with good information, true information, real news. You want to add your facts, perhaps with a little bit of flavor, some variety. And you want to write for your audience. This is not about you. This is not about me here telling you all the great things I've done. This is about what your meeting and your presentation means to your audience. So after you've got that part set up, we want to go and we want to deliver some better data and statistics. And by data and statistics, this is the meat of your presentation. We're talking about the facts, and we're talking about the statistics, the analysis. Maybe you've got some studies. We don't want to put up, especially in the PowerPoint presentation, we want to try to avoid statistics. We don't want to be too analytical or too much in depth. We want to present the data in stages, and we want to be able to show and tell. If you've got a PowerPoint, try to hyperlink. We want to also include, to make your content more rich, we want to include some case studies and examples. Talk about yourself. What else have you done? What other things make it relevant? How can people relate to this? Maybe some visuals in PowerPoint. We could spend a whole day on this part talking about visuals in PowerPoint. And by the way, if you can't see this, come on up a little bit closer, or we'll also put this out online for everyone to see this model. The model is also a point of a book. But visuals in PowerPoint, just one element of making your presentation more dimensional. Live demos and websites. So many times people will just talk about their website, but if you could break away, if you could show a little website clip, make sure it's tested, perhaps even make sure it's local on your machine so that you don't run into issues running your website on a website server that may not be available to you. Quotations and testimonials. This is the part where we start getting into parts that people remember. A lot of people won't remember the facts, but they will remember the emotional component. And if you've got a great quote, if you've got a great testimonial that people will remember, they'll say, I remember that from this guy's presentation, but I don't remember much else. Metaphors and analogies. These are similar points that I'm bringing up, something that might make something very complicated, difficult to understand. If we've got a metaphor or analogy, something like this. Here's a quote to talk about. Don't tell me the moon is shining. Show me the giant of the light on the broken, show me the glint of the light on the broken glass by Anton Chekhov. So that is a great quote and a great metaphor that helps drive the point home that people say, I remember and I know what he's talking about because it's something that we can all relate to. Perhaps there are humor and anecdotes. Any one of you guys consider yourself kind of a funny guy? That can break or girl, that can break some of the tension a lot of times if you walk into an audience or perhaps you've got a conflict there. A little bit of light humor can also break things down and make you connect better. Be careful of that, because you don't want to come across too trivial or too nonsense-oriented. So be careful with the humor, but at the same time, it really does help you connect with the audience. Personal stories. This is probably one of the best ways of better connection with your audience. We can talk about how we've had experience, like our previous speaker. She was here too. Christine. There you are, way back there. Great talks, great, and people will remember that because of your personal experience in the restaurant industry. And finally, a call to action. We've just heard this great talk. What's next? What are we going to talk about? What are we going to do differently? I've heard so many people talk about their great presentations and their great business and all of their ideas, but what does it mean to you? And it's so vital that we all wrap it up, come to a conclusion, tell people what you want them to do next, and then say, here's what we are expecting. So a summary and a call to action is so vital when talking about great content. The next element on the Dimensional Presentations Hub is appearance. How do you look? The way that you look should be better than the way the audience is dressed. Putting on a tie, putting on a jacket, you don't have to be overly dressed, but at the same time, you are usually the expert, the one who's there to present from a point of authority, and that's why wearing something or looking better is so vital. It's important that you speak, don't read. People don't want to have somebody reading every word that's up there on a bullet-pointed slide, and if you're going to have the bullet points up there, it's important that you reference them, don't just skip past them. So speaking and not reading, the tone of voice that you use, the way that you present yourself in a speech is different from the way you would present yourself in a written presentation that shows up online. Audience is so important when connecting with people. Audience interaction. Don't you agree? Wouldn't you agree with that? Why is that important? Mr. Steve.
Keeps them awake.
Keeps them awake. That's one reason. And it involves the audience. A little bit of silence can go a long way, as can a question to the audience. Makes sure they're there. So after audience interaction, we talk about body language and gestures. We certainly don't want to just stand over here and say, I'm not really good at presenting, but certainly over wider movements of your body. There's a whole talk and a whole hour we could spend talking about body language and gestures. Eye contact, certainly very, very valid in terms of making a connection, not just staring at your computer saying, I don't really like audiences, but I'm going to stare at my computer all the time. So eye contact is so important, and it provides greater emotional impact and better audience connection. We talk about pacing and pausing. The way we talk, sometimes you want to talk faster and talk because it's so important, and other times you want to slow down. Repeat the message. Pausing gives the audience a chance to listen and really absorb what you have to say. So be aware of pacing and pausing when presenting. We talk about simple sentences. The way we present is different from the way we write. So it's important that we try to keep our sentences short and to the point. If you've got a long sentence that you might have written for a business proposal, try to cut it in half and see what your bullet points will look like. Shorter is better, and that's why I'm 5'3". So something like that. So, no crutch words. Anyone know what a crutch word is? Your little Toastmasters are counted out. What is a Toastmaster? Or a crutch word might be, give me a collective crutch word, everyone, all together. So an word is a crutch word. We're saying, crutching or clutching on your words. These are important because we really want to come across as if we know what we're talking about and not stumble over our words. Toastmasters is an international organization helping people to present, and I invite everybody to check out some of the local organizations. I used to be president of Reston Town Center Toastmaster. Happy to see Uman here and a few other people. Encourage you, if you're going to be giving more speeches, if you're going to be doing more sales, this can only go so far, but check out the Toastmasters International Organization or locally here. We talk about a memorized intro and a memorized closing. What are we going to say? It's best to say it if you know it from the heart. So we can just get up there and talk, but when you've got a good, powerful, memorized intro, that's a lot better than just stumbling through, here's what I'm going to be talking about today. Rhetorical questions. They're similar to questions to the audience, but rhetorical questions are important, aren't they? Because they help you to think and question, why are you saying this? So rhetorical questions are a great idea. Don't you think so? We also want to talk about repetition when we're talking about a key point in delivery. Repetition is so important. You might have just hit upon a really important point, and when you repeat it, your audience will hear it, and they'll understand it a lot better. So repetition is so vital to getting a point across again and again. And vocal variety, the highs, the lows, the speed, the pitch. Variety, rather than just talking monotonously and reading from your script like this. These are key points on delivery and content, but also there's an essence about enhancers. 6 enhancers that we put together. And the first one, the most important one, is to practice. Even if you're giving a talk, even if you know what you're talking about, even if you've done it before, it's valid, vital, and important to test it out, practice it out. Maybe you're giving on someone's laptop. I'm so grateful for Steve for allowing me to present it on this laptop. How many of you have ever given a presentation to somebody else and they might not have the fonts? But you get up there anyway and you're saying, oh, this is all screwed up. So practice on your own, practice on the presentation machine that it's going to be shown on. Preparation, different from practice. This means getting a good night's sleep, getting a good food for lunch, having enough water to be hydrated, thinking of yourself, calming down. Getting a good night's sleep means going to bed and not working on it till 1 or 2 in the morning, and then taking Ambien, like I've seen somebody do before. It's true. Top level presenter at a big company said, okay, I think I'm done at 1:30 in the morning, but I got to take an Ambien to get a good night's sleep, and he stumbled his way through his talk. So be prepared and be healthy. Be passionate about what you're speaking about. So many people will get up there and just say, my boss told me to do it, and I don't give a damn. So if you don't give a damn, what are you doing there for? What are you being there for? Find something else and speak with passion and conviction and truth. And speak from the heart. Experience will show how long have you been there. This will drive sales. This will drive connection. This will drive passion and connection with your audience. We've got confidence. When you get up and present like you know what you're talking about, that will also show from someone who might be a little bit unsure about what they're talking about. So that confidence has to come through and be clear. And a good sense of well-being. When well-being, we're talking about this having a good state of mind, a good frame of diet, a lot of this, and saying, I'm good at what I do, and if I'm not good at what I do, it's all right anyway. So just a positive attitude about what you're presenting. Put the nervousness aside, put the troubled thoughts that you might have aside, and just get up there and speak from a sense of groundedness, clarity, positivity, and that will drive your good talk. So this is the dimensional presentations model, and for the last 20 years, I've worked in the presentations industry, came up with this a few years ago, and welcome the chance to present to and help all of you guys out there to present. I'm going to jump to one other slide in this deck, maybe. We've got a lot more here to see, but I think we spent the right amount of time. I just want to wrap up on this slide here, and this is my content, and a gift to you guys to say that we've got a 20% talk. For anyone who, a 20% discount for anyone who is here and interested in knowing more, or a free consultation about helping with your presentation or your presentation ideas, how to generate more money, how to generate better training decks, all of that. You can contact me at Presentation Team, Lerner at Presentation Team. And for my business, if any of you are business consultants, I'm looking to grow. I'm spinning my wheels. I'm saying, why am I doing this over? I've had a lot of great clients, but looking to get to the next level. Everybody presents, and I've had a lot of great clients over the years, but we're not able to get to this critical mass. And I know in my heart that this is a real opportunity. Moved here from South Florida, Reston, 7 years ago, had some big opportunities, but gosh, the company is no greater than it ever used to be. It's basically myself. This team is me. But at the same time, I'm really looking to connect with some business capitalists or strategists to say, you got something opportunistic here and make it grow. So there you go. I welcome the chance to help any of you guys or women with your presentations, how to design, deliver, and train others on great presentation skills. Thank you.
Excellent. Great talk, Kevin. Any questions? Anyone ever have a presentation before? Or I know Kurt had a great presentation last time. But anyone have any questions for Kevin about how to do a good presentation, and a lot of people in the IT industry sometimes struggle with this.
The presentation.
How much you would say is personality driven versus innate ability, learned ability when it comes to presentation?
That's a great question. How much is personality versus innate ability? I think you probably would not be selected if the person presenting or felt that you didn't have the right personality to get up there and present. So I think it's a good mix. I think that everybody in their core has something that they're passionate about. And as the last speaker, Christina came up and said, show yourself, show what you're passionate about. If you're not following your soul, your heart, then perhaps you got to reconsider what you're doing. So I think that your personality should come out. We don't need to be all dynamic, but just at least letting your truth and your essence come out when you're speaking, because people can see through things that aren't genuine and truthful. Is that a good answer?
Okay.
What are your tips for getting over pre-stage jitters?
Getting over pre-stage jitters.
Yes.
Practice a lot. Get up on the stage, get up on the floor. This will help you to come over. This is the number one fear that people say they've got is worry and nervousness about speaking. But if you speak it enough and if you rehearse enough, you'll become a little bit more comfortable with the content. Look at people in the eye. These are people, these are not enemies of yours. These are friends, these are people who are mostly here to connect with you, support you. They wouldn't be there if they didn't believe in what you had to say or want to hear what you have to say. So I think that eye contact makes a big difference, and just shifting your mindset from saying that these are people above me and they're out to get me to people who are out there to hear what you have to say and they support you. So that's one thing, but the practice elements is a whole lot. Do not have any alcohol. Do not even eat before breakfast. The fact that you eat a lot of times, you might have a breakfast, I found makes me more tired and more just off edge. So I think that exercise is great, diet, and do not drink and have any of these sleeping pills before. That's a whole separate story. It might be even a presentation team's blog. Yeah.
Yeah. Any questions? Any other questions for Kevin?